We left Sahagun with frost upon the ground, and the enemy not 2 days behind us. From that first step, it was nothing but marching, stumbling, suffering, and dying. Each day we rose before light, ate what we could scavenge, and trudged onward through mountains and frozen passes. The roads were treacherous, lined with ice or deep in mire. Many of our carts overturned, and the sick were left behind. I saw men fall from hunger and exhaustion, too weak to rise again. Some shot themselves rather than freeze to death or fall into French hands. I recall one Highlander whose feet were raw meat. He could march no further. He leaned against a tree and asked for a dram of whiskey before we left him to his fate. Villages we passed were stripped bare. We begged food from the locals, but they had little to give. One night in Bembibre, our men grew drunk on looted wine. The French cavalry caught them in the streets. I saw sabres glint in torchlight as our own comrades were cut down while too insensible to resist. But we marched on. The general, Moore, was among us often, quiet and grim. I remember him speaking kindly to the wounded, offering a hand to one man who fell beside the road. It gave us heart. When we reached Corunna at last, the sea lay before us, but the enemy was close behind. We turned to fight. On the 16th of January, we met the French on the hills outside the town. It was a bitter contest. Our line held, and we drove them back with bayonet and musketry. But it cost us dear. Sir John was struck by a cannonball. He was carried from the field, mortally wounded. Before he died, he said only, "I hope the people of England will be satisfied." He lies now beneath a humble stone in that foreign soil. We embarked the next day, cold, wounded, and half-starved. I never wish to see such misery again. Praise be to God for the end of this siege. It is a victory long waited for, though hard won and bitter in its cost.
Never in my military life have I witnessed scenes more heart-rending than those endured upon the march through Galicia. The condition of our army became daily more pitiable. Men without shoes, many without greatcoats, trudging wearily over snow-clad mountains, exposed to frost and fatigue, their bellies empty, their spirits broken. The conduct of the troops deteriorated rapidly. Units fell into disarray. Discipline gave way to desperation. Plundering became rampant. I recall seeing entire companies throwing down their arms to rifle wine cellars or seize the miserable supplies of Galician peasants who could scarce feed their own children. It was not cowardice, but the extremity of human endurance that brought such disgrace. Sir John bore all with stoic composure. I was often near him and can attest that he never spared himself. He shared our rations, marched alongside the infantry, and took no rest unless others had some first. His brow was dark with the weight of responsibility, and yet he never failed in kindness or resolution. At Villafranca, I saw soldiers lying in rows, too feeble to rise, pleading not to be left. We had no wagons to carry them, no horses left sound. In many cases it was a choice between saving the army or sacrificing the dying. Such decisions marked us all. By the time we reached Corunna, our numbers were sorely diminished. From a proud force of 25,000, scarcely 15,000 stood fit to fight. But fight we did. On the 16th of January, as Soult pressed in with strength, our line held the heights with remarkable steadiness. The men, ragged, hollow-eyed, fired with the fury of survival. It was during that contest that Sir John Moore was struck down. I saw him borne past, blood pouring from his shoulder. He remained calm, even cheerful, as he was carried away. Before night fell, he was gone. We buried him quickly beneath the ramparts of the town as shot and shell whistled overhead. No monument, no grand ceremony. Only the respect of every soldier who had marched under his command. In the end, we embarked with what remained of our force. we left Spain not in triumph, but with honour preserved, and with the memory of a commander whose sacrifice ensured our survival.
The English retreat across the mountains of Galicia was marked by scenes of utter desolation. We found the roads strewn with broken carriages, abandoned baggage, dead horses, and the corpses of men, British soldiers who had frozen to death or died of exhaustion. Our cavalry pursued them closely, though rarely could we bring them to battle. Their commander, Moore, was a man of intelligence and speed. He gave ground swiftly, destroying bridges, cutting roads, and covering his movements with small but effective rear guards. Still, the evidence of suffering grew more dire the deeper we went. I remember entering the village of Nogales and finding over 200 British stragglers, sick, drunk, or dying, who had been left behind. Some begged for mercy, others were insensible. Our men showed pity where they could. We gave bread to a few who had not eaten for days. At Bembibre we surprised a group of British soldiers who had taken refuge in a wine store. They were drunk to madness, and when we charged them, many could not even stand. Sabres were used, and it was a grim business. When we reached the hills outside Corunna, we saw their ships in the harbor and knew the end was near. On the 16th of January, Marshal Soult ordered an attack. Our men fought bravely and made some gains, but the British held firm on the heights. It was during this battle that General Moore was struck down. We did not learn of his death until later, but I remember hearing a British prisoner say, "Our general is fallen, but he saved us all." That night we watched as boat after boat ferried British troops to the fleet. They escaped us, but only barely. Their retreat was no victory, but it was a feat of endurance that earned our respect.
The sufferings we endured on the retreat from Benavente to Corunna no pen can describe. We marched through snow and frost, our feet cut and bleeding. Many had no shoes at all and wrapped rags or bits of hide around their feet. The baggage was mostly lost or abandoned. We had little food, and what we could find was raw or rotten. Each night we dropped to the ground with only our greatcoats, often soaked through. If you were lucky, you had a bit of bread or boiled horseflesh. Some days we marched from dawn to dusk and saw comrades fall out and die by the roadside. We had no time to stop. If you fell behind, you were done for. I remember near Lugo seeing the body of a dragoon propped against a tree, his eyes still open. He had frozen in the night, musket in hand. Still, there were moments of pride. Our officers shared our misery. General Moore himself passed close by our column one morning, his cloak heavy with frost. He gave a word of encouragement to a lad of our company who had stumbled. When we reached Corunna, we were little more than scarecrows. The French came down on us and we formed up on the hills. Our powder was damp, but we fought like men. I saw one of our sergeants run out of shot, so he picked up stones and threw them at the French. We held the line that day. I saw the flash when General Moore was hit. Word passed quickly, and we knew he was dying. It cast a gloom over us, but we were proud of him. We had reached the sea. We had not broken. We left many behind, dead, wounded, or too sick to move. But we took ship and came home, and I will not forget the cost. Not ever.